Hey, welcome to this session. Welcome today. There are two types of people in this world. First type doesn't really matter because they are mostly adamant. But the second type, the ones that their sensitivity is suppressed. They live a very oppressive life. They never really get to sense life. They always stay in the sensitive state of life. Perhaps through teenage life, when you start sensing things a little bit more vividly, a little bit more privately, a little bit more sexually, no one is there to really help you through this sensitive world. Therefore, suppression, therefore oppression, and you never really get to truly experience what it feels like to be sensitive, what it feels like to really sense life. Because, let's be honest, we can only sense life. You cannot do any other way. There is no other way to communicate with life. At least biologically not available. Maybe perhaps you want to seek for it spiritually. That's up to you. But biologically, often tells the truth. Biology tends to tell you how to really experience this life, how to really experience this world with your senses. But then, through this conditioning in life, through this programming in life, through this not feeling life so much, we lose our touch to the reality. We lose our touch to this whole sensitive world. Why it feels like that I am in deep union right now, why it feels like that everything is just simply is. Anyways, you go through this teenage life, your parents are there, they think they know best, they try to perhaps suppress a little bit of this sensitivity for you because they don't want to face it. Let's be real, you don't want to face it. Both sides don't really want to talk about it, but at the same time, both sides know that, okay, the other side is going through something. And it's so funny, no one really talks about it. It's like, look, this is the most major event in your life, and we're not gonna talk about it. That's just how parents deal with it. But perhaps we cannot blame our parents. Imagine yourself to have a child right now. You will definitely shit your pants because, come on, let's be real. Parenting must be a very complicated and complex things these days. Like, how would you want to do the right parenting? Because it doesn't exist, it cannot exist. We are living a social dilemma. How can a right parenting exist? Therefore, your parents also were going through the same thing. Therefore, the same thing was happening. Therefore, they did not know what's up. But at some point, you become an adult, right? At some point, you can think for yourself. At some point, you can just give direction to your life. And that's where, I guess, every human being needs to explore their sensitivity in life. They need to explore what are their really superpowers. Maybe they taste things very better than others. Maybe they touch things better than others. Maybe they can smell things better than others. Maybe they can see better than others. Maybe they can think better than others. Maybe some of their senses has some quality that another combination of humans don't have, right? But we don't do that either. We just simply carry on, go through the same process. Perhaps quickly after you become an adult, you think to yourself, you gotta find a partner, you want to be in a relationship. Everything will lead to each other to get you into a state of perhaps marriage and then children, and then you gotta provide, and then life goes on, and you never really feel anything, you never really sense anything. The sensitivity is not there anymore. It's all a mechanical behavior towards some, let's say, goal, some agenda in life, or some programming in life. At the end, you really never get to sense life, you know. And these days also, sensitive people are not cool people. So this is also the problem. You want the adamant one, you want the stubborn one. You want the one that is not ready to put any new ideas in their head, the type 1. Like, they completely reject. They don't have enough intelligence to pick like proper arguments in. They're like, no, my life depends on being adamant, then I will do this. Right? So they start telling you, oh, you're too sensitive, you're too sensitive, you're too sensitive. Whoever tells you you're too sensitive, just drop them. Really. If you become sensitive with life, if you become the fool, if the reality enters and you just simply release your humanness, people start telling you, oh, you're too sensitive, oh, you're just like thinking too much. Whoever tells you this, come on, you gotta get over that. You gotta just drop these people that stop you from being sensitive, because this is your superpower. Like, if someone is more sensitive, they can live better, they can live more sensually, they can live more sexually. And I promise you, when you live life sexually, it becomes a form of art. It's just like, it's always sensual, it's always just like love making with the existence. It's always, you're in that state of bliss. you're not ejaculated. You're just like completely in the zone of power and bliss. But then what we do, we ejaculate. That's just perhaps the moral of the story for today. You know, keep this sensitivity, be sensitive, feel life, become a little bit more feminine. A little bit more feminine. Always, whenever you catch yourself in any anguish in life, let's say, as a man, just make things a little bit more feminine. That's it. You crack life simply, you come out of it a strong, powerful, because let's be honest, you already have the power. You already have the power. You just don't know how to use it. Go toward that goddamn feminine, okay? Become more sensitive. Much love. Take care of yourself.